Tinfoil Productions presents a video about audio. How y'all doing? I figured I would take the time to give you guys an update on what I got going with my stereo setup here, stuffed in the corner of the room. Plus talk a little bit about some of the equipment that I have done videos about in the past. I've actually had a lot of people watching these videos and asking about them, so let's start at the top here. Why is there tinfoil on top of your turntable, Joe? This keeps cats from getting on top of your turntable. And I used to do this years ago, and I stopped, and then I started doing it again when a cat jumped up on my turntable and broke one of the hinges, which prompted me to buy another turntable when I didn't need one, and I ended up sending that back. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Okay, this is a turntable that I did a video about when I first got it. I don't know how many years ago now. And people ask about this all the time. This is the U-Turn Orbit turntable, and it's sold by U-Turn Audio, and you can find their webpage and order one for yourself with all kinds of different options. Now, I keep going back to this turntable because I like it. There's several things I like about it. I like the design. It's extraordinarily simple. It almost looks like there's not enough here to make it work. You have a power switch. There's the motor right there with a pulley. And to change the speeds, you move the belt, which goes around the platter, to a different position. That's it. The tone arm is an Oa2 Tone Arm. I am running a Sumiko Rainier cartridge on this right now. That's what came on the Carbon turntable, the Project Debut Carbon Evo, which I did a video about a little while back. And I like the cartridge, so I got one for this one. This is the Oa2 Tone Arm. It's aluminum with glass packed in the arm. Very low resonance, nice sound. And then as far as the back of the arm is concerned, you have a counterweight. You absolutely must use some sort of vertical tracking force gauge to set this. You can't balance the tone arm, that sort of thing. You have to do it with an instrument of some sort. But the nice thing is that once you find the right position for that counterweight, all you have to do is lock it down and it stays that way. The anti-skate is preset at around 2 grams. According to Ken at U-Turn, somebody that I've talked to several times, he says that the range of the anti-skate is anywhere between like 1.5 and 2.5 grams. Most cartridges sold these days track right around 2, as does the Rainier, so it works out fine, and there's no fiddling with anti-skate weights or adjustments. I have a record-happy mat on here that's made of cork, and I like this mat because it's cheap. It was about $25, $30, and I got it off Amazon. And I like cork mats better than felt. I'd rather have rubber, but I got a cork for this, and it works really well with the MDF platter. This turntable has a very warm, inviting sound. Maybe just a little bit of motor noise gets into it, but it's no big deal. I just like the way this sounds. I keep going back to this. I've been through 3 motors. I had a problem with motors. I've talked about that in past videos. And I end up buying a new belt about once a year. But other than that, I love it. And by the way, it's all dirt cheap. The belts are like $5. No big deal. So, turntable 1 there. Yes, plop my butt on the floor to show you turntable number 2, because it's set up on this stand. Up here is the printer. There's no other place for this printer. And above that, don't pay any mind to that. You didn't see that. That's Cindy's junk. She wouldn't want you to look, so don't look at that. But anyway. So I have more Reynolds wrap down here so the kitty doesn't decide this is a place to get up on. This is the Audio-Technica ATW40 in, well, hold on, let me get this right. ATLP W40 WN turntable. I bought this new the beginning of 2018. I have upgraded the cartridge on this turntable. It is currently running an Audio-Technica AT-VM 530EN cartridge, which is very nice. That's a 0.3 by 0.7 stylus, a nude stylus. This is about middle of the road for Audio-Technica. They have more expensive cartridges in the 540 line, and then they have the VM95 line now, which I don't really like those too much. Some people who have reviewed the Audio-Technica VM cartridges, the VM 500 series, they've said that they're too bright and that they have too much high-frequency audio in them. Why that is nothing to do with the cartridge. It's how you load the cartridge. So you really need to have a preamp that you can either adjust the loading, or, like I'm doing, I have an Audio-Technica turntable that has a built-in preamp, and it works just fine. The frequency response is flat. It's a very bright cartridge anyway, but if you can fix that loading issue, then it flattens out and it just becomes nice and crisp and clean and clear. I've put some damping material under this platter. This is a very light aluminum platter, and so I put some damping material around the edge to not only give it a little bit of weight, but also to just dampen down the resonance. And since I have done that, this turntable is dead quiet, very low on motor noise, great for headphone listening, especially with that cartridge. The internal preamp is good. This is a great turntable if you can find one. They sell for about $300. The U-turn Orbit, it depends on how much you want to put into it, and you can customize your turntable on their website. The U-turn folks are fantastic to work with. Parts are easy to obtain. I had to buy a hinge for this turntable because a kitty jumped up on the top and broke a hinge. That's what prompted me to buy the carbon, because I was looking for a hinge and found the carbon. And so, I liked the carbon. It's just that you can't tinker with it, really. You have to keep buying things. Like if I wanted to change the cartridge to put a $15 AT3600L cartridge on it, then I got to pay $30-something for a counterweight, because it likes specific cartridges of specific weights, and never mind. The turntable sounds wonderful, and if you buy it the way they send it and you set it up and align that cartridge properly, it sounds great. Nothing wrong with the quality of the turntable, just not my cup of tea. Okay, make sure you understand that. Anyway, let's move on to the other components. Okay, over here in the rack, under the U-turn Orbit, we have two CD players. One of them is a TASCAM CD450. That's the one up top. That's a broadcast CD player, professional CD player. I bought that mainly so I could feed digital audio into the TASCAM RW900 Mark II CD recorder under it, so I can do digital transfers if I need to burn a CD. And mainly these are here to play. These are here to play back CDs. I have a whole lot of CDs, gang, and so therefore I need good players for them, and I enjoy that. Plus I can mix CDs in here without actually having to use a computer if I want to. I've done videos on both of these machines. They're pretty awesome. I know this is a little hard to see, gang, because it's a black component and it's kind of dark down here. But that box right there is a Pioneer. It is an A-10 AE amplifier. I highly recommend this amplifier for the money you pay for it. It's got a wonderful sound. The only drawbacks that I found to this amplifier are that it does not have a traditional tape loop. So if you have tape recorders or you want to put an equalizer on it and you want to use the tape loop, it ain't there. It does have an output, but that's it. So I can feed analog out from my turntables to my CD recorder, for instance, which is fine, but it's just not a traditional tape loop. The other, I will say, and when I say issue, this is in quotes with this, is that it does have a little tiny bit of hiss. There's just a tiniest bit of noise. You have to listen for it. You have to turn it up really loud to hear it. I think most people wouldn't care, but it's not dead silent. But overall, it's a fantastic sounding amplifier, and it's got a lot of bang for the buck. The output wattage depends on the speakers you plug into it and the design. It's not rated like a normal amplifier, and that comes back to the design of the amp. So if you do get your hands on one of those, I suggest very, very much that you read the manual and understand how it works. Which leads us to our next little item here. I do most of my listening with headphones these days, and that's why I'm not really too concerned about the placement of these speakers in here. I had it catty corner, and I decided that I wanted to change that I didn't like it. So I have moved those speakers now to where they're up against the back wall. I had a mishap with a turntable, which is one of the reasons why I don't have the carbon anymore, and it was better to do it this way. But anyway, the headphones that I have been using in here for this are AKG. These are M220 headphones. They sound very similar to the AKG K240Ms that I use for my radio setup to do my radio show. These are just maybe a little bit warmer, and I love, these are over-the-ear headphones, and they are open headphones. They're not closed. They don't clamp over your ears. You can wear these for hours, and they don't hurt your ears. They sound very natural. It doesn't sound like you're listening to a cup, and because they are open design, you can hear what's going on in the room around you. I like that. Some people don't. Whatever works for you, this is my preferred headphone. And yes, I do keep them in the box when I'm not using them. And that way, that keeps kitties from scratching at them and dust from getting at them and mishaps from happening. I suggest you do the same thing. And finally, we will talk about these speakers. I did a video about these not too long ago. These are Dayton Audio, what are they? 442T speakers. I didn't look that up in advance. They're 4 ohms. They are transmission line speakers. There are 2 4-inch woofers here, or drivers, and then you have a it's a 3/4-inch dome tweeter, and then this whole enclosure has a transmission line bass reflex setup, and down here is a vent for that. You can't really see it. It's different from ported speakers. These have a lot of bass. They're not the loudest speakers in the world, but they have a lot of bass. They fit a very small space, and they sound pretty decent up close. And I can't put that back on with one hand, so I'll do it after the video. Now, when I did the video about these speakers, I happened to say they have 2 4-inch drivers, so you put them together, you get the same as 8. And then I said, not really. People didn't hear the not really part, and they actually thought that I meant that. So people went in the comments and were like putting in there, well, it works like this and da-da-da. I know that. I just said that offhand, so just wanted to point that out. If you're one of those people, I understand. Thank you very much. But it always amazes me what people latch onto in the comments and what they put. So this is the system. It is shoved in the corner. It is not ideal. The way the speakers are set up, if somebody is sitting over to my right as I'm recording this, they will get some stereo out of it, which is fine. And if I'm in here by myself, I will actually turn my head to face the speakers, or I'm using the headphones most of the time. So it's all right. These really should be spread further apart. I know that. But the problem is, number one, I put this back here for my own personal use because somebody's always in the living room. So if I put it in the living room, I'm going to be competing with them, see? And the other thing about that is just the floors in the living room in this house are so bad that you can't play a record. So I can't have 2 turntables set up in there. And why not? Before we wrap up the video, of course, I got me my nice brush here. I've had this so long. It's an Audioquest carbon fiber brush that the labeling has worn off. And finally, I will show you this accessory, which I don't believe I've shown before. You can buy these. This is a solid steel 45 RPM adapter that is actually the right size. A lot of the plastic adapters that come with the turntables when you buy them they're injection molded, and when they cool, they shrink, so they're too small, and so you'll get a record that is off-center when you put it on. If you can get one of these that's made out of steel, then you're going to have better sounding results, and plus it acts as a bit of a stabilization weight because it's so dang heavy and 45s are so light, so it makes up for the weight you lost not playing an LP, I guess. I read that somewhere, so I'm just passing it on. But it's really nice. If you're going to be collecting 45s, get a nice one of these. The one that comes with the turntable always isn't the best, and there's some good ones out there. I think I paid about $12 for this, and believe it or not, it was worth it. I am going to be playing more 45s down here on this machine. The cartridge, I love the way they sound. Hitstown USA has an AT VM530EN, and if you watch his channel, he's got several of his records uploaded with it. It is a bright cartridge, but the stereo imaging, if you put on a pair of headphones, it's just absolutely wonderful. The Rainier cartridge that I have up here, great sounding cartridge, good stereo separation. It sounds better on this turntable, since I have aligned that cart myself, than it did on the carbon turntable. And very low intergroove distortion. I'm still learning this cartridge and playing with it, so I will reserve final judgment on it, but from what I've heard, it's really good. It's just a really nice cartridge. That's a Sumiko Rainier, but it is finicky about its setup. Get your tracking force right. Get out your, I did the video not too long ago about what you need to set up your turntable. Align it properly. It sounds wonderful. So anyway, gang, I thought I would pass that on to you. Just a quick update video on what I'm doing right now. I'm very happy with this setup. This works great, and so I'm going to probably be leaving stuff alone unless something falls into my lap. I don't plan on buying any more new audio toys. I love my cartridges that I have here. I was playing around with a Stanton cartridge for a while there. I've decided to put that away for now. I bought some styli for it, and I really wasn't too particularly happy with the sound, but that's a vintage cartridge, and that's for another day. And there's a video about that cartridge up here too. So anyway, I'm gone. Thank you for watching the video. I'm into this right now. I'd love to hear from you guys. Always happy to read your comments and answer your questions and whatnot, so feel free to post anything. As long as it's nice, okay? Don't be a jerk. Thank you. We'll do it again soon. Thanks for watching.